Hi, I'm Becky Gandillon, and I've been invited by the Boulder Bookstore to talk about my new book, The Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World 2026. They've sent some questions for me to answer, and since Disney trips are mostly family affairs, we're going to make this a family affair too, and my kids are going to be the ones that ask me the questions. So come on up.
Can you give us a brief overview of your book?
Sure. Thank you. So the Unofficial Guide is a really thoroughly researched, heavy, 600-page book that gets updated every year. And here's the thing that makes it unique. It's unbiased. Disney doesn't pay us to do this, and the whole point of this guidebook is to give you the real data and information that you need to know to make sure that your Disney vacation is a lot of fun and doesn't cost you a lot of money. And Louise has our next question.
What inspired you to write this guide?
Thank you. I've been taking Disney trips since I was a kid, and when I started planning them on my own as an adult, I was someone who used a lot of data in my day-to-day life. I'm an engineer by training, and I do data architecture and engineering by trade. That's my full-time job today. So nothing really changed when I was planning Disney trips. I wanted to use that same data. As I was doing that, I used a company called Touring Plans, and they had tons of data about wait times and how to plan your trip. I started using that data myself, and then I started blogging for Touring Plans using that same data to help others plan their trips. And then eventually, that led me to write this book so that you don't have to understand or have access to all that data, but you can read about it and use it on your vacation too.
What kind of research did you do to write this book?
Very good question. I did all of the research. First, it starts with that data that I was talking about, and it is so much data. The good folks at Touring Plans and people who use a Lines app in the park record their wait times from inside the park. So we get thousands of actual recorded wait times from the theme parks every month of every year. We use those. Also, anyone who reads the book can submit a survey after your vacation to tell us about the parts of your vacation that you enjoyed the most. So we get a lot of data about which restaurants are the best and the most enjoyable, which resorts people like and why, and which age groups like certain attractions, etc. So we have all of this data coming in that is then research for the book every year, fresh data every year. Then I personally also take a lot of trips down to Disney to do research. I go just about monthly throughout the year so that I can experience every season, all of the events, and these trips have very deliberately chosen resorts, places where I eat, things that I experience, ways that I do attractions throughout the day, so I can experience these things and have some advice to give. And then finally, regardless of all of the data and all the trips that I can take myself, no one person is ever going to be an expert in all of Disney. So I have a lot of friends that are essentially doing their own research by going to the parks, by focusing on certain parts, and I invite them to help me by being contributors to parts of the book so that people who read it get all of the expertise from bunches of different people and not just my perspective. So in the book, you'll find sections by people like Bob Jacobs, who's my friend, who wrote a section about allergy-friendly dining. The Main Street Dish podcast contributed a bunch of information about different dining across Disney World. And new for this year, my friend Steven, who runs the Dintroverts Instagram page, has a bunch of information about where to go inside the parks if you need a break from all the chaos and you just need a quiet spot to relax and pull yourself back together.
How many times have you been to Walt Disney World?
Another really good question. Thank you. At this point, let's just say that it's enough to have lost count. I could not give you an accurate number. Probably at least 40, and most of those have been in the past 2 years. We've taken a lot of big, long family trips together, those week-long, stereotypical Walt Disney World vacations. We got to do 2.5 weeks there this summer as a family, but most of my trips are one-night sprints where I'll fly down really early one morning, be in the parks all day, try to get a tiny bit of sleep, be in the parks another day, and fly back home. I usually get like 5 hours of sleep on those trips, but I do a lot of research, and so that's what most of my Walt Disney World trips look like.
What is something at Disney that you think is amazing that a lot of people miss?
This is one of my favorite questions because Disney is this huge vacation kingdom, and no matter how many times you've been, there's always something new to discover, and most of those things are amazing. Even I am still trying to fill in the gaps of things that I haven't been able to experience. So I'm going to answer this 3 different ways, depending on sort of how far you want to venture out during your vacation to experience something amazing. The first of these is just one of the parks that's the least visited. That's Animal Kingdom. Typically, Animal Kingdom gets cut if people need to cut a day from their vacation to save money or time. But it's really a relaxing park compared to the rest of the Disney World parks. Epcot, Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, it's a lot of waiting in lines, lots of crowds of people. But at Animal Kingdom, you're really rewarded more for exploring and enjoying. And specifically, there's a program there called Wilderness Explorers that's meant for kids, where they can go around and earn badges, which are actually stickers, by learning things from different cast members around the park. This program is good for anyone, even if you're a party of just adults, because the cast members who run it are excellent at tailoring their information to anyone. You get to learn a bunch of things while you explore the park. If you want to venture out a little further, I always encourage people to visit resorts at Disney that you're not staying at. So even if you're staying off-site, go visit some of the Walt Disney World resorts. You don't have to be able to afford to stay there to visit them. Book some dining reservations at different resorts so that you can explore them. Animal Kingdom Lodge is perfect for this. Wilderness Lodge is another great one. And my personal favorite character meal is at Ravello, which is actually at the Four Seasons Orlando, which is really near Magic Kingdom, but someplace most people don't go see, and it really is an amazing meal. Then my final tip for something amazing that most people don't experience are services offered by cast members and former cast members that aren't inside the parks, but can really enhance your vacation. The people are who make the magic at Disney. So, in the book, there's a whole section in the Recreation and Spas chapter that talks to you about the Ear for Each Other Facebook group, and there's where these cast members and former cast members offer their services. So things like Jedi training, private Jedi training. A man named Justin will come to your resort and he did Jedi training in the parks when it was offered, and he'll do that for your kids or Star Wars adults in your party at your resort while you're at your Disney vacation. Super great service that I always hear really positive reviews of. You can also get things like Disney chocolates delivered to your resort by my friend Jenna from A New Hope Confections. It just adds a little extra something. You can get your room decorated. You can have private animation classes. You can have your own personal fairy godmother come to your resort room and turn your children into princesses or do braids in your hair before you go on a hot park day. All of these services, every single one I've tried, is truly amazing, worth the money, and something that really takes your Disney vacation to the next level.
What are a couple of books you've read recently that you really loved?
This is one that I just finished. I actually got it as a reward from my local library's summer reading club, so had no expectations going in. The Mostly True Story of Tanner and Louise by Colleen Oakley. I've never read Colleen Oakley before. This one was an incredibly pleasant surprise to me. A lot about intergenerational interactions. There's some suspense, really light suspense, very lighthearted. A lot about sort of the relationships that people build with one another. And not a lot of books can fool me and give me a surprise ending that I didn't see coming. This one definitely did. So this one was a big surprise to me that I loved. Another that I just finished was My Friends by Frederick Bachman, who's the man who wrote A Man Called Ove, among many other really excellent books. I will read anything that he writes, but My Friends is another intergenerational sort of time hopping to look at all these stories of different people in the art community in Europe. Really enjoyed that one too.
Is there anything else you want us to know about your book?
A million things, probably, but let's talk about this. Books are great. There is a lot of information in here that's all very helpful, and most of it, the vast majority of it, is going to be applicable whether you read it now or you read it 4 years from now. A lot of it won't change, but it was a book that was finalized in April of 2025, and it's meant to cover 2026 vacations. And sometimes Disney changes things. Some new attractions have opened, things will close, so sometimes some of this information will get slightly out of date. So if you really want to complement the book, read the book, but then stay up to date by reading a couple of other things. Number one is I do a weekly blog on the Touring Plans blog that talks to you about all of the data from Disney for just the past week and does a little look ahead to the next week. This is great to read right in the lead up to your vacation so you can see what the most recent information is. And then secondly, if you're on Instagram, I run an Instagram page called Raising Mini Me's, and there I post 4 times a week, again with really up-to-date data, strategies that you can use in the park, so that way you'll have a lot of the information, the foundation from the book, but then you'll have the up-to-date data and information that you need to.
Can you read us a short passage of your book?
Yeah. Extra bonus, I'm going to read 2 passages. The first one is going to really capture sort of that magic of the Disney vacation, get you excited for your next trip. And the second is going to give us a little taste of the data that you'll be able to find in here as well. The people of Walt Disney World. Disney's employees are called cast members. These are the people who can make or break a vacation with their service. Fortunately, cast members often go the extra mile to make your visit special, as the following readers share. First, from a Texas grandmother who almost had a scheduled disaster, my 5-year-old granddaughter really wanted to ride Rock and Roller Coaster. We made a Lightning Lane reservation knowing she might not be tall enough. We got to the ride and the sweet cast member helped measure her and she just made it. We started scanning our bands only to realize we had gotten confused about the time and had missed the return window by hours. The cast member let us all go on it since we were all so excited. The wait would have been well over an hour otherwise. And a mom from Illinois had this to relate. During our baby moon at Disney, a PhotoPass cast member created an unforgettable moment for us. After snapping a few shots, he smiled and asked, "Can we get creative?" What followed was a magical whirlwind as he led us to unique spots, capturing photographs we'd never have dreamed of. It was unplanned, unexpected, and beautifully spontaneous. One of those rare moments of pure Disney magic that we'll treasure forever. A family from Indiana was impressed with how Disney handled logistics for them during a medical emergency. My family has been to Disney 8 times in the past 20 years, and we've never had any emergencies or problems during any of our stays until the most recent in November 2024. My mom ended up in the hospital on the 2nd night. My dad was with her during the day and then coming back to the resort just to sleep. I was in charge of figuring out logistics for our room reservations. I walked up to a cast member at the concierge at Port Orleans French Quarter and immediately burst into tears. I was so stressed about a huge emergency happening so far from home, and also wondering if my mom was going to make it back to Indiana. She hugged me, gave me a ton of tissues, and led me to a seating area off to the side where we could talk. She was able to extend our rooms and gave us the most discounted rate on those extra days that she could find. And she gave my parents complimentary tickets for the park days that they missed. On the other end of the spectrum, a big celebration turned even more magical for this family from California. This May, I celebrated being a 5-year breast cancer survivor with my family at Disney World. During our Animal Kingdom day, one of the cast members saw our matching shirts as we boarded Flight of Passage. After we rode, they stopped us and asked if we would all like to ride again. We were so honored and assumed that would be all. But after we got off the second ride, the cast member then personally walked us backstage and directly onto Navi River Journey. By the time we got off, she had already added 2 more magical experience passes to all of our tickets. I'll never forget the joy on my mom's face, as she not only got to experience Disney magic, but also got to do it with her healthy little girl. Interacting with cast members is our favorite part of a Disney vacation. They love their jobs and are passionate about making vacations magical for the people they serve. Unfortunately, their day-to-day is also generally pretty difficult, thanks to guests with high expectations, sometimes unreasonable demands, and vacation-induced anxiety that makes them occasionally act unpleasantly towards cast members. We encourage every guest to practice compassion and curiosity when interacting with cast members. Aim to make their jobs easier by listening and being kind. We promise that they're doing their best to keep you safe, well-fed, and happy. All right, for our data-based passage, we're going to go to the dining chapter, where I talk a little bit about the data that we collected about the Disney dining plan and whether it's something you should spend your money on or not. In order to decide whether the dining plan is worth the cost, we need to establish the value of its credits. For this analysis, we assume that snacks are worth an average of $6 and the refillable mug is essentially a free throw-in. With those assumptions in mind, we calculated the value of an adult quick service credit and an adult table service credit. A quick service credit is worth $28 and a table service credit is worth $66. That means if you're using the dining plan, you need to order meals and drinks that total at least those amounts to break even. Anything less and you're paying Disney more than the meal is worth. With the value of a credit established, we analyzed every Disney menu to see how often a meal will at least match what you paid for the credit. Disney assumes no one is going to go through all of that trouble, but we did by figuring out the prices of desserts, different types of beverages, and every single entree available on property. There's a table in the book that walks you through the various chances you have of breaking even or beating Disney by using the dining plan. Across all meals, not a single scenario offers a better than 50% chance of saving money with the dining plan. You've probably heard the saying, the house always wins, when it comes to gambling, and the same applies here. If you just randomly order meals without strategizing, you will statistically lose money by paying for the dining plan instead of paying out of pocket. In fact, this year we pulled the average value of the food and beverages you're most likely to get with your dining plan credits. Assuming that you do drink alcohol, the average quick service dining plan user will lose $11 to $14 per day compared to paying out of pocket. And the average table service dining plan user will lose $23 to $26 per day compared to paying out of pocket. If you don't drink alcohol, or you're between the ages of 10 and 20, those losses go up to $24 to $26 per day on the quick service plan and $36 to $38 per day on the table service plan. So this is a really good example of a lot of data analysis that went into just telling you you're probably going to lose money if you use the dining plan.
Thanks
Thanks for listening.
listening.